Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of For the Love of Music right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I am your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful guest today is Connor Nelson out of Vancouver, BC. He was recently discovered by Deb Drummond because of the music that he was playing, and she immediately thought, this guy's going to go far. And I had the delight of meeting him last Saturday at Deb's son's clothing launch, which was wonderful for everybody to be there and actually put a face to the name that I'm going to be interviewing. But I've listened to his music and it's very upbeat. There's one that we're going to close out called 21, which kind of reminds me way back when I was 21, back in the old days, along with the dinosaurs. But it's very upbeat, but it talks a lot about love and it talks about relationships and it kind of reflects a great deal of probably how he feels and the way relationships are when you're young. He is a captivating force, a midnight pop, dedicated to full-time music, processing rare treasure of talent as a singer, a songwriter, and a producer. His music is effortlessly blending intoxicating vocals of R&B with the publishing of mainstream pop, resulting in truly mesmerizing sonic experience. And there is a touch of sonic in there, which I like. It's really kind of cool. He's already been taken, people are keeping an eye on him. He's already got plenty of people looking at where he's going and wanting to be a part of it. And so we're going to be sharing his journey today and his music. As I said, we'll close out with a number that he's written called 21, which I think it doesn't matter what age you are, whether it's reminding you when you were 21 or whether you're in around that age, you can relate. And that's what music's all about, isn't it? Relatability. Welcome to the show, Connor.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Delighted to have you here. I always say that interviewing musicians is a guilty pleasure for me. You already in your heart and soul. You're not looking for it. You're there. You know that music is it, right? And so many people go through their life in self-discovery because they go down paths that they, dutifully have to do rather than following their heart and soul. And I know that you've briefly done that because we talked to you and your mum, and that, you came back and said, I just can't stand these jobs. They're soul destroying. I've got to do the music. And you're lucky because you've got a very supportive mum there who says, okay, follow your dream, right? Which is really important. But when did music become so important to you? When was it got its hook into you?
I think it really got its hook into me when I was around 16, when I started songwriting. I think learning to express myself through like writing rather than just like words was super life-changing for me. And then from songwriting, it kind of evolved into producing music. Like not only this is how I feel, but this is how my feeling sounds.
Right,
I
yeah.
think kind of explaining myself through that was really super important to me and quite life changing. And it just made me kind of obsessed with music. And I wanted to see every single different facet of myself and what I could create and what I could explain through music.
I had another musician on yesterday, Gene O, who's been in the business a long time. And he's just recently put out a song called Time for Change. Speaking to the times. You're speaking to your times. He's speaking to the times here now. And he's been a working musician, singer-songwriter for um, a number of years, 30, 40 years.
Wow.
And it's hard to stay in this business as that, to be that working musician. And you do have to, be flexible, play the gigs in the coffee bar, get whatever job you can get to get out there to gather experience, etc., etc. What have you done right now to put yourself out there where people can notice you?
I've definitely been doing the gigs, the coffee shops, the open mics, whatever I can. I've also been delving into more other stuffs in the creative field. So I do mixed media animation, which is
Mm,
basically I take a video and I turn it kind of into stop motion, but on each still, like I print them out on a sheet of paper, and on each still I will draw something different on them. Like one still will have like a star here, next one will have a star here, and then when you put it all together, you get the same video, but like you get something different on every single still that creates a totally new video. So I've been diving into that a lot more, working on like not only my own stuff, but stuff for other people as well. And that's kind of how I've been getting myself out there, like as creatively as possible, like not only as a musician, but also just as a creative in general. Like this
mhm.
is what I can create. Um, that's kind of how I've been doing it so far.
When he spoke that it's not the music that drives him, it's the words that then become the music. What is it for you? Is it music first or is it words first?
Oh, I think I'm gonna give the same answer as everyone. I think it just depends on the day, honestly. Like I have a word bank in my phone,
Mm,
full of words and like phrases that I love. And sometimes I'll just pick up a guitar and I'll strum some chords and I'll find a word in the word bank and I'll sing it. And I'll like the syllable count, and so I'll write a song around that. Other times I kind of hear something in my head and I go to produce it, whether it's like a little arpeggiator or a little synth, and then I'll just loop it and then I'll write to that synth.
mm.
But I always go to my word bank on my phone. I always take out a loan, and I see what happens.
We never know what inspiration is going to come. I'm that kind of writer. You know, I do my own podcast every week, and sometimes I know what subject I want to talk about. Right. And
Yeah,
so, okay, I may write it out first and then read it and do it. Other times I press play and whatever comes out is what needs
exactly.
to come out. And then you listen back or you read it back, whether it's written or verbal, and you go, oh, okay. Right, I didn't know I had that to say. You know, is that like with a song with you? You write it and you listen back and go, ah, now I understand.
Absolutely. That is like the only way I process. I never go into writing a song thinking, this is what I want to write, because I find I get in my own way and I'm like, no, like I want to word it like this, or like I want to do it like this. I find just like going in, throwing everything at the wall, see what sticks. I find
Yeah,
it's the best way. It's just so natural. And then the end product is always the most natural and the most raw, at least I find.
most organic. Yes,
Yes,
yes. I mean, you know, there are other musicians which you know are the studio musicians or you know they're you know playing the same song every night, playing chords every night for the same thing, and yeah, it can get rather dry. And there's an experience that I had in Rome back in 75, back in the dark ages. I was in Rome, and this friend took me to this place late at night, kind of knock on the door, almost like Joe sent me. And we go and we sit down, and it begins to fill up, and everybody's quiet. I go, what's going on? He said, just wait. And then one by one, musicians came in from their gigs, all differently. They got a drink, they sat on whatever their stool, whatever they were going to play, cigarette out of their mouth, drink by their side, and they just start playing. And each one of them's from a different gig. They may know each other, may not. They just nodded and they all start playing. And then the synchronicity of how they're playing and how they in tuned with each other. This was just something that came from heart and soul. They picked up on of each other and they created this kind of symphony that was just transcending. It was so utterly incredible to have that. It was so beautiful. And that's kind of in a way what we want from our musicians today, isn't it? Yes, you know, if they go to a concert, you know, I don't know if you've paid the $750 to go see Taylor Swift.
not yet, not yet. I got
Oh,
her
you're
tickets
probably too
though,
late. I think they're sold
but
out.
I'm going, but I don't know. My friend just got them, and I'm like, I'll
All right.
e-transfer you, whatever it is.
I know,
I'm
that's what I
there.
mean. And of course, you know, with her, she's a consummate writer, right? And very much a writer of how she feels in the times and very much reflected by life around her. How does life around you affect your writing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think a huge factor is environment.
Hmm.
I definitely find writing in a space where I feel comfortable is super important. I always write in my room at night,
Hmm.
surrounded by familiar objects and stuff like that. I love writing in my room. And also, I love writing in my grandparents. They had a place in Blind Bay in the Shuswap.
Hmm.
So I find when I'm up there, actually, I write a lot more on guitar, just because it's like a lot more in nature. It feels a lot more um, vulnerable and intimate. Whereas here in my room, I find I'm just like synth, like producing like these big pop stuff. But like out there, I'm just like on my guitar, like wearing a cowboy hat or something. So like I guess physical environment definitely affects how I write.
So obviously, when you're writing, it's kind of coming from your own experience. So like 21, says I'd listen to
Yes,
that. Yeah. Um, you know, I think that's kind of like what poets do, what novelists do, whether they're writing it in a thriller or not. My brother is a professional writer, has been for years, and a professor as well. And it's kind of taking a life experience and then either fantasizing it or, elaborating on it or just taking it into a different dimension. So is it like that for you, taking some things that have happened to you or happened around you, and then you just kind of mold it into something else?
absolutely. I love putting it through the filter of sound.
Mm.
And kind of what I mean by that is like I can take a situation and be like, okay, like what does this like sound like? What sounds would kind of complement this feeling? Like I have a song I wrote about being quite paranoid about something you did and you're just like overthinking it. So I knew
Yes.
with the production, I wanted it to sound like very skittish and very anxious and like kind of like you're all over the place, but like it's all kind of connects back to
Mm.
each other at the end of the day. Yeah.
Well, that's actually a really cool idea because we all get like that.
Yeah.
You know? And it's how do you bring it back down
Exactly.
to calm? So I think that would probably be very relatable to a lot of
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
especially while driving.
It's a fun one to drive to. It's a fun one
Yeah.
to drive to for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, we do get kind of skittish. I mean, with everything else going on in the world, do you ever feel, you know, either politically or just, environmentally, as far as what's going on in the world, that you would like to write a song to that? Or do you want to stay away from that type of thing right now?
I feel like I would love to write a song like that
Mm.
because music is it's a universal language.
Yes.
I think it's something everyone understands and everyone connects to music in one way or another. So to kind of express that through music is something I would definitely love to do one day for sure.
So you kind of describe yourself as what, R&B pop?
Yeah, I grew up singing a lot of R&B and like a lot of Motown, so I think there's always going to be an element of that in my
Mm.
vocals in whatever song I sing. But I just love pop music. I love making it.
Mhm.
But there will always be that R&B element in there. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say R&B pop for sure.
I mean, I'm a Motown girl. I mean, Motown
Me
music.
too.
Ah, yeah,
Yes.
and I've had some of the, the oldies on, from the Planters and from the Drifters and
Yeah.
just like, it's just there's something about that music. I call it elongating music when you can just feel your whole body stretch out, right? And
I
like
love that.
you really do feel it in every part of you. And, the soul awakens and the spirit gets into it and you're in it. And, music is different to everybody. Sometimes it's the words for people, they're speaking, telling their story, reflecting how they feel. Sometimes it's the music that people are feeling and it's telling their story. And you can't write for everybody because it's kind of we're all different in the way we receive things. But when it writes organically from how you feel, then those that feel the same way are going to connect. Connection is important. Um, as you said, music is universal. And it really, quite only English music is universal. I mean, I've met people in foreign countries that sing beautiful English but can't speak a word.
Yeah,
So, I suppose you could learn to speak in a foreign language because it's all basically rhythm. Just molding your mouth around the words, but it doesn't mean you necessarily have to understand it. But
exactly.
um, but it does again transcend um, barriers, and it allows people to feel things in a different way. Pop is something that always is upbeat. It always invites people to kind of look at things, even your subject in 21 and in the Dream song. It's it could be sad if somebody looked at it from a different way, or if you produced it in a different way,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or even angst. But because it's with pop music, it's kind of almost like taking the Mickey out of yourself, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
And how you feel, but it's to pop music, it's okay, I'll brush this off.
yeah.
Is that the intent?
It's not the intent. I would say so. It's definitely the intent. I've
Mm.
always loved songs that are the beat is so colorful
Yeah.
and but the lyrics are just like when you read them by their own, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is the saddest song ever. I love those songs like that. I always try to, I think a super important part of writing is writing it on guitar. I can't
Mm.
remember who, but somebody said if your song sounds good, like just guitar or just piano, like you have a good song in your hands, no matter how you produce it. So I always try to write with that in mind, being like, would this sound good? If it was just me and a guitar in like some empty hockey arena, like would this sound good? Um, and that's what I always try to write with. But the intent is always to try to make that beat kind of colorful and
Yeah.
like fun and like something you can just like move to and sing to and have
Yeah.
fun with.
I mean, like Ed Sheeran is one of those people that can
Yeah.
just be only him on the stage, right? Not jumping around, not any big dancing, just him playing all the instruments and him Wimbledon Stadium,
Yeah.
capture the audience. And I think again that is how much do you love what you're doing that and how far can you radiate it out?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, how, because when, it hits the first line of people in the audience and the second line, and they pick up that energy and they pass it on back, pass it on back. And so eventually everybody picks up that energy. And then everybody's in tune with each other. And that's the beautiful thing about music. Everybody's in sync.
Yeah. It's just energy is contagious and energy
Mhm.
is everything. And that's so beautiful about music. It like connects everyone, you know?
We don't have an awful lot of pop nowadays. I mean, 60s and 70s was a great deal of pop. I suppose, yeah, the 80s and 90s, I was too busy having children at that time to kind of be in the music too much. But, I feel that maybe in the last 10 years or so, yes, I know, Taylor Swift and a few of this kind of pop type music, but the kind of the way you're doing it, the synthesizer, it's a little, I don't know which, there's a word here that I want to grab and it's over there and it won't come to me right now. It'll come back in a moment. But, it kind of takes me back a little bit, even to the 70s, little
Mm.
psychedelic. I
Oh,
think
thank
that's the
you.
because I used to have a mobile discotheque to go and play parties and things like that, which was so much fun DJing. We didn't do the back in those days. We just played the record, right? But then
Yeah.
we had the strobe lights going on, and everybody kind of dancing to the pop, and it kind of hear a little bit of that in your music, where it's kind of
Thank you.
a little bit of a throwback to that, where it just like let your sillies out, sing
Thank
along,
you.
just
Yeah.
dance, be free, right?
Yeah, just have fun.
Have fun. And I think in a lot of ways we've forgotten because we're so weighed down by what's going on in the world. We've kind of forgotten how to have fun. So have songs that, hit a subject that we can all relate to, but at the same time have fun with it. We need that in the world right now.
Yeah. It's so important. I love just throwing myself into my songs as much as I can and just like not becoming a caricature of it, but just
Yeah.
like be allowing myself to be like, I have a song where I kind of I guess like from the perspective of which it's written at, it's about being hung up on somebody and not being able to kind of move on. So like I'm perfectly fine, but I'm like, okay, this song, like I need to bring like this attitude and it needs to sound like this. It needs to sound like you can't move on. And just like throwing yourself into a song and having fun, you know?
Yes.
It's so important and it's so much fun.
I mean, we're back in the day. God, I keep aging myself. We didn't have TV. I was living in South Africa, so we didn't have TV. But every Friday night was, the top 20. And so we'd go round to, someone's house and put on the radio and just, get out the old hairbrushes and sing along and dance
Yeah.
along and be free, right?
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that there's still some bedrooms that some kids do that in, but it's like we felt spent at the end of it. We had listened to 20 songs. Some have been sad, some have been uplifting, some have been moving, some of them could have been deleted, but at the end of it, we felt that we had had a thoroughly good evening of where
Yeah.
we could spend our emotion and
Yeah.
feel good and feel uplifted. And, now we've got, downloads and things like this, and everybody's got them in their ears. And it's like, aren't you sharing the music? Take it out of your
Exactly.
ears, turn it up, crank it up, and invite everybody to dance.
Yeah, I love doing. I actually do that every night. I have a huge I collect records, like vinyl records. I have a huge collection. And like every night I love to put on a record and just like look in my mirror and just like, you know, sing la la la, lip sing the words and just like dance and have fun. It's so freeing and
It
it's
is.
so important. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And if you have, having the earbuds in there and it's just to you, well, sing along and
Yeah.
dance. There was a great thing that somebody did put up on social media where he had the music in his ears and he danced all the way to work. And people,
Wow.
somebody's filming him and the reactions from people. Uh, uh, uh. And then kind of people lifting up their feet and kind of feeling a bit of the groove and, the spirit along with it. And I think,
Yeah.
hey, let's make this contagious. You
Yeah.
know? Let's lift the
Exactly.
spirits of everybody around us.
Yeah, energy is contagious.
Yes, it is. It is. So, who are the people that you admire that have been the influence on you?
Probably, oh my gosh, there's so many.
List them,
Taylor
list them. We
Swift
have time
is a
for that.
huge one.
Hmm.
Taylor Swift's a huge one. She's an incredible lyricist.
Hmm.
Lord is another incredible
Yeah.
one. Her album, Melodrama, is like my favorite album of all time. I think
Hmm.
she's a genius. There's an artist, her name is Rina Sawayama, and every song of hers feels like a full journey. Like
Mm.
it feels like you've just taken a huge road trip and you've experienced. So every song is like incredible story. She's an incredible storyteller. Isaac Dunbar is another huge one. He writes and produces all of his music, and he's an incredible artist. Uh, and then there's a band, my favorite band. They're called Muna. They're another band who writes and produces all of their own music, and they're just incredible. They're incredibly talented. Yeah,
It's nice to have people that you can look up to.
yeah,
It's people think well, we say this, like, draw the analogy with podcasting. Well, why don't you podcast like so and so? Because so and so is podcasting like that.
yeah,
That's taken. This is my style, right?
yeah,
And everybody's free to take it or not. That's the beauty of free will, and that's the thing I think is not trying to be like anyone else, but the influences of their style.
yeah,
It resonates with your style and it allows you to see things from a different point of view and how to bring your own self out and take a different avenue. So it's good to, inspiration begets invitation. So when you're inspired by
yes,
somebody, it invites you to look at, what if I tried that? Could
yeah,
I reach out and do this? Is this something that I can incorporate? Right. And
yeah,
it allows it to expand on it. But you do have some people out there that are just really mimicking others. And it's
yeah,
like, but that person's already taken. So where is your style, your personality in it? And that's
yeah,
what we're looking for. We're looking for people. Yes, we relate to the words. Yes, the music is upbeat, but we get who they are,
yeah.
right? They have a signature. So your signature would be what?
Ooh, I think it's definitely more reflective in the music I'm going to release next year.
Mm.
But in my music, number one, there's always an arpeggiator. In my song Black, it starts out with an arpeggiator. It's this little sound that goes ba 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 da na 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 na. It's that same sequence of notes in the whole song. Every single song I have has to have an arpeggiator. I think they're just so much fun. And then number two, my choruses tend to go into the bridges. They kind
Mm.
of blend together. So what I mean by that is I have a song it's coming out next year, and the lyrics from the chorus it goes I end up eaten from the inside, and then the bridge starts with out. And I bleed, and then it goes in. So instead of finishing the lyric, I go from the inside out, da da da, da
Yeah.
da da. So I could definitely, I love like blending my choruses and my bridges
Mhm.
together. That's definitely a huge signature of mine I've noticed. But yeah, if there's an arc and if the chorus blends into the bridge,
Mhm.
you have a Connor Nelson song. Yeah,
Neat.
those are the telltale signs.
Like right, and that's thing. That's what what people look for is to be able to recognize you. If they hear you on the radio, they can recognize you,
Yeah,
right? And that's the reason why they kind of come back to you because then that familiarity of that is your signature tune, and that's what kind of draws us to certain people. I mean, Taylor, right? The lyrics, is it's going to be the words and the kind of the funk behind the words, right?
yeah,
But and with Beyonce, it's always a very kind of I always find, I don't know if the terminology is right because I don't speak musician, but it's already very kind of almost choppy with the way she sings, right? So
yeah.
it's very cut offish, but it's always about something very poignant, right? And kind of very almost not angst, but behind it. Right?
Yeah,
So you can always know that is a Beyonce song. And that's what people want to know is that this is your signature. And that doesn't mean that as you evolve, that another album will come out completely different because that's
yeah,
the
exactly.
beauty of it, right? Of doing that. Um, and I think this, as I said, the guilty pleasure of interviewing musicians because you know who you are, you know why you're doing it, you're driven by
Yeah.
the heart and the soul of it. The lyrics, though, where did they come from? Is it something that you love to do? They just, as you said, you've got here and there. How do you piece them together in something that, tells a story?
How do I piece it together? I think it's just like, I think something very important is looking at it from an outside perspective.
Mm,
Like being able to kind of see yourself outside of
yeah,
yourself
yeah.
is super important. And just like I've written stuff where I'd be like, oh, like if I was thinking of it like, oh, this is me, like I wouldn't be able to write it.
Hmm.
You just gotta go for it. You'd be like, okay, this is a situation from a bird's eye view.
Hmm.
This is how you feel. This is how you feel. And I think like writing from that is super, super important. And then also just like I just like hear words sometimes. I don't
Mm,
know. I've always like again to the word bank. I always check that too. There's a word I wanted to use for a long time. The word was psychoanalyze
hmm.
because I love how that rolls off the tongue. And
Yes,
so I
yes.
was just like I was having trouble with this on. I was like, how do I feel? Like let me go in and then it's like psychoanalyze. Like that's a cool word. And then I always think back to country music
Mm,
because country music in my opinion like some of the best songs come from country music just because they're so good at setting the scene
it's
and
the
just
storytelling.
storytelling. The
Hmm.
storytelling. And that's, I always try to think about that. Like, whenever I have a line written down, I'm like, what would come next? Like, if I was talking to someone,
Right.
like, I say this, what would come next? What comes next in the story? What do we do? Like, where are we? Stuff like that. That's kind of how
The rhythmic conversation.
yes,
Right, right. Do you watch The Voice?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of these type of shows because I love seeing people grow.
Yeah.
They come on and they may be seasoned in a certain area or completely green. And then, with the right coaches and things, how it makes them come out that experience that they have. And some people kind of peak, can't go any further.
Mhm.
And then some people just like, whoa, where did you come from? And
Yeah.
just blast right out. And I love that. And of course, Reba McEntire is on right now as one of the coaches. And I love her. I mean, there's just something about her in whatever else she does. It's kind of a zest for life. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, that's kind of doesn't matter what her music is, whether you're a fan or not a fan, it's her. You want that zest. You want that
Hmm.
kind of spunk that she has. I mean, when you're looking at John Legend, it's always going to be that meaningful ballad that is going to be kind of an anthem for some part of your life, right? And
Exactly.
and and I think that's what we look for is that we know that reliability. I know that when
Yeah.
Taylor left kind of country and went into pop, there was an outrage. How
Yeah.
can she leave country? How could she do anything else? Well, who's to say that she hasn't popized country?
Exactly.
Right? She's still the storyteller. She's just
Yeah.
doing it to a different beat.
Yeah, exactly. It's same stories, but in a different lens.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any outside influences kind of pressuring, no, no, you should do this, you should do that, etc.?
Um, no, thankfully. Oh my
That's
good.
good.
Like my
Right.
whole family, they're
Yeah.
extremely supportive and they believe in me lots and they have always supported my art and my singing since day one. I'm very fortunate, but yeah, no, they're all super supportive.
Yeah, because you do get some people go and get a real job. Where like we all listen to music, and no matter what format it comes in, and we a song is the poet of our times. It
Yeah,
speaks to our insides when we can't find the words to express out. Why is that not a real job?
true. True. Why is not pouring your heart out onto a
Yeah.
piece of paper, putting it out for people to listen and relate to? Why is that not a real job?
I mean, this is something, I interview an awful lot of authors and musicians, and the one thing that gets my goat is the fact that they're not supported. Right? Now, my brother is a novelist, and I've interviewed so many other people, whether it's a self-help book or whether it's, a novel, and they've spent sometimes years putting their heart and soul into this book. And what are they going to get out of it? Amazon takes 90%, and like with
Yeah,
musicians, I write a cent on every song, and it's like the industries need to change. We need to respect artistry more. And we need to respect the work that goes behind the artist. Now, I know people like Taylor Swift and Beyonce and Jay-Z, etc., Timberlake, they're up in the quadrillion millions, right? So
yeah,
it's different. And of course, going out on the circuit, they're going to make the money, but they still paid their dues. They're still out there doing that performance. It's hard work getting out there every night, no matter how you feel. And you've
yeah,
got to be optimized, to get out there and whatever you're dealing with, there's an audience there that's paid to come and see you, and you've
yeah,
got to deliver. So I think we need to change the way we look at it because nowadays people can just download, and your music is going to be on your show page. People are welcome to listen to it, but they're not going to download it. They can go and buy it because
yeah.
that's how you support artists. You listen to the music, you enjoy the music, you pay for the music, just like we
True.
would a meal or clothing or anything else. We
Yeah,
expect to pay for it. Why are we not expect to pay for the artistry? So,
yeah.
one of the things I respect with musicians that I have interviewed that have been in the business 30, 40 years or more, and,
Mhm.
some of them go back to the 60s, Joe Coleman
Wow.
from the Planters, who is coming back on again. And it's continuing to work, right? Now, there's going to be ups and downs to music, but are you ready for the hard slog of
I've been wanting the hard slog. I've been waiting for the hard slog. Let's do it. I'm down.
good? Because
Yeah.
yes, there are ups and downs with it. I had wonderful Jeff Albright, who's a saxophonist. I call it a saxophonist because I think it's a very sexy instrument. And he was on America's Got Talent for 6 seasons. Playing there because it was a solid gig. But there is the business side of musicianship, right? And you've either got to have a damn good manager that that is working for you, right? Not for themselves, for you.
Yeah.
Uh, or you've got to wear that business hat yourself.
Yeah.
Do you have the manager or are you wearing the hat?
I'm wearing the hat. I don't know if I'm wearing it well, but the hat's definitely on my head.
Mhm.
I'm just like having fun with it and trying to right now my focus is more so on the creative side. So when everything's done with that, then I put my little business hat on and I see what happens. Just see what happens.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and of course, it's doing podcasts, letting people know who you are, putting
Yeah.
yourself out there, because that's the way it is. Obviously, sharing snippets on social media, inviting people to then come and listen, paid for the whole thing. And um, excuse me, there is the marketing side of it. And, a number of years ago, I interviewed a couple of people that were musicians, but they decided actually to be the business gurus for musicians to help
Yeah.
them manage themselves because we don't want to see talent disappear because they
Yeah.
don't know how to protect or market themselves or don't know how to read a contract. how to change a contract to make sure it's in your favor and not signing your life away, like,
Exactly.
as has been so much in the past. So it is good to have somebody on your side that definitely knows all of that because
Yeah.
it's important. You don't want to sign oh, I have a record deal. I'm going to sign. Next thing you know, yes, you've signed your life away. They own you. They're going
Yeah,
to tell you
literally.
what to sing, and you don't get nothing. Right?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, nightmare fuel.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can kind of stay that indie performer where you're in control, you're driving the bus, so to speak, then that is something that, and the flexibility, there's still playing the small gigs and the big gigs and all of that. That's great. So you're prepared for all of that.
Absolutely. Let's full steam ahead. I mean, I love having creative control, but yeah, that business direction, I just have a low compass. That's all I got. But I'm ready to go full steam ahead. Let's do it.
Yes. And listen to the people around you that are in that world, right? So
Yes,
definitely,
exactly.
yeah, absorb what you know, take your notes and all of that.
Yes.
Um, Music is something that ain't going away, and we
Mm-mm.
it most certainly most certainly should not go away. It is something that it does uplift us. It just speak to the times. It just speak to how we feel. It's
Yeah.
something that we can move and groove to, but it's also something that can soothe and hold us, at times
Yeah.
of strife or sadness. Although you're very pop, is there a ballad in you where you can bring about a nice, soft, huggable type music, or is that later on?
Absolutely. I ballads was actually the first thing I started singing. I think
Mm,
that was when I first started singing and getting vocal lessons. I only sang ballads. I think I only sang ballads for about like 5 years or something. A huge balladeer.
mm,
So that's definitely where my voice is rooted in. Um, there is a ballad on the way, but she's very sad. It's a very sad ballad. But nonetheless, there's a ballad on the way, and I get to unlike my other songs, I have so much freedom with my voice. I
mm,
can just riff and run till the cows come home. I get to belt. I get to rein it in.
mm.
I get to show the dynamics and essentially what my voice can do. Um, so it's really exciting. I love ballads, and yeah, I definitely love writing them too.
I had a gentleman called the ballad drummer. And when he was in the garage, as a youngster playing, and said, "Well, what are we going to play next?" He said, "How about a ballad?" And everybody just looked at him as if he was a freak. And so he played for many, many years, many groups and things like this. And eventually, like in his 50s, decided to do a ballad album and
Wow.
put people together. And it's absolutely so cool. It really is. So, yeah. And you know what? Sometimes people just need to listen to that and have a damn good cry. That's their cry song. That's, I can let it all out song.
Yeah,
I need this to release and then, put on something else that's okay. I've had my cry. No, I need to upbeat.
exactly. Exactly. Wipe the tears,
Hmm.
turn it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Sing in the car, sing in the shower, sing wherever you go, right? I think it's um, I just would wish people would belt out into song now and again.
absolutely.
I think it would be fun. One of my coolest experiences I ever had was in Paris at the Sacré-Cœur steps. And I'm there with an artist friend, and somebody started just kind of playing some drums. And I just got up, I was very free spirit back in the day, and just started dancing. And all of a sudden, there's other people around. Some people have guitars, some people have something else, some people kind of start singing. And I'm
Yeah.
just in the center, just dancing. And then
Mm.
we kind of all got up and started going towards the Montmartre and then dispersing. And it was just like out of a musical, right? It was
Wow.
just an impromptu musical. And
Yeah.
she caught it. She drew a picture of the action, and in that moment, because there were no cell phones back then, folks, click, click, click. She used her artistry to capture the moment. But it was one of those moments that will stay with me for the rest of my life because
Yeah.
it was so freeing and everybody coming together in that moment. Nobody knew each other. Everybody came out of the woodwork, so to speak, but we were
Yeah.
all in sync at that time. And that's the beauty of music, isn't it? Bringing everybody into sync.
Absolutely. It's a universal language. Like
Yeah.
everyone speaks it. You feel that, you hear that rhythm, you feel that beat. Like it's contagious. You just can't help yourself.
Get up and dance.
Yeah,
Sing along, right?
exactly.
And just invite other people to be a part of your party.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
really
love
cool.
that.
I love the fact that you do all the graphics and things along with it because you're extending your storytelling into the visual.
Yeah,
Some people are more visual before the audio. So if the visual draws them in, it's set the stage for what the audio is going to be.
yeah.
Right. So, and some people the other way, the audio and then the visual actually explains what they're listening. So you're doing the both. How did that come about? What drew you into doing that?
Being broke. I was like, I've
Yes.
always wanted to do my own visuals. I've always thought they were super cool. Actually, with Out of a Dream, I got Photoshop and I started like editing the photos like from that shoot, which is how I got the cover. It's a photo I actually edited. But I wanted my next step was kind of like making music videos
Mm.
and making visuals. Not only for like as a video, but like also on Spotify. There's a Spotify Canvas option in which when you're listening, there's a little video that will play to your song.
Oh, neat.
So I was like, I don't like I want to create it. I don't know how. But so I like watched a YouTube video and I found it's a lot more cost effective. And I also have like 100% creative control if I can literally just take a video on my phone and then I can just do like mixed media animation to it, in
Mm.
which I can literally create whatever I want because I'm drawing it by hand.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I just find I have a lot more creative control and it's cost effective and it's very flexible, like it's on my own schedule. But that's kind of how I started out with it. I just wanted to create more than just like the audio. So I just like watched a lot of videos and really dived into that world kind of head
Well,
first.
it's just an extension of your voice too,
Yeah,
right? So you know what people are looking at and then what they're going to be listening to. They know that it's the same thing. It's like sometimes you look at book covers or you look at record covers. Um, or I look at people's sites to before I interview them. And then when I speak to them, they're like, that doesn't reflect you at all.
yeah,
Right. And you want something that is an extension of you, just another perspective of you, because that perspective then allows people to know you in a
hmm,
different way. So it's really cool that you're doing that because that will make you stand out more too. And again, it becomes, the visual signature. Um,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of pity we don't have the record stores anymore, but people don't put out the vinyl because, we used to go in there, pick up a record and go into the big booth to listen to it. And
There
then
was a
before buying
booth.
it, yes, we used to have these booths that you used to go into,
That's so
listen to the
cool.
record, and then you decide to buy it, right? So it was really, really cool back in the day.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then, you could spend hours in there picking a record, going to listen to it, and then, tracks that you want. And then, yeah, I mean, it's taken away that. It's like bookshops you can buy online, but there's something about going into a bookshop and, letting a book jump out at you, so to speak. So yeah, so you have to use that hook for people to come in and, want to know more. So that visual that you're putting out is something that, oh, what's this? What's this?
Yeah.
Right?
It's
So,
definitely like capturing the reader, like that saying,
mm,
like you got to
yeah,
capture the reader's attention.
yes,
I remember there's some albums that I didn't even know existed. I just listened to because the cover art was just
yes.
so beautiful. Like there's this album by an artist. Her name's Mariah the Scientist, and the album on the cover, the album talks about like kind of falling in love, but like it's maybe a love that's not really good for you. So on the cover, it's like she's smiling, but she's holding her chest,
Mm,
and like Cupid's arrow is like she's been hit with Cupid's arrow, but she's smiling. So it's
yeah,
like, oh, like this is like
yeah,
it's just like a timeless photo in my
right.
opinion. I think it's just so genius because it's like, oh, I'm in love. Might not be good for me, but
Yes,
nonetheless, I'm in love, right?
right. Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I just like
Who
capturing
hasn't
that.
had that story?
So like just capturing that reader's attention is something that always interested me, and yeah, I love that.
Back in the day, there was a fantastic one with Santana. You know,
Cool.
the album was just like so graphic. There were so many pictures within the picture, and
Yeah,
you know, you could get lost in it completely. And of course, that's a lot like his music. You know, his
yeah,
music is just one of those ones. I went to see him live in Vancouver a number of years ago, and it was just so cool to actually
yeah.
be there. Sometimes you go see people and it's rather disappointing.
Mhm.
You know, live, there's not quite the same capture, but with him, no, we were on our feet the entire time and just that the guitar playing, God, and you know, and there are certain musicians favor certain instruments. That instrument is their voice, right?
Yeah.
Is there an instrument that you favor that like is an extension of you?
Probably my voice. I mean,
Mm,
I've been singing was the first thing in music I
mm,
kind of picked up. I would say my voice, but in terms of physical instruments, I'd probably say guitar. I actually started out with piano, but I think over the years I kind of favor the guitar a little bit more. But if I had to choose, I would say my voice is definitely
right.
the
But
number
people
one.
don't realize the voice is an instrument. You
Yes.
know, like what are you talking about voice? You know, yeah, no, the voice is an instrument. It makes sounds, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, one of my favorite groups is the Pentatonics, the a
Oh,
cappella
love
group.
them.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Ah, their harmonies, you know, the way they bring, I don't know if you ever saw the Sound of Silence they did in a cave
it's
where
incredible.
absolutely, I mean, absolutely love them because they're just I mean, how they create a song and the music just with the voices is absolutely wonderful. But I think what it became popular because of them because people could see just how a beautiful instrument a voice can be and how diverse it can be.
Yeah, it just the voice is it's capable of so much,
Hmm.
but you also got to take care of it. Taking care of
Yes.
your voice is super important. But
So what do you do to take care of it?
oh my gosh, I'm a little crazy. I'm a little like I'm a little bit of a vocal care junkie. I
Which
have
is
a
good. You want it to
humidifier.
last a long time, so you want to look after it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got my humidifier. I always have hot water with like lemon or
Hmm.
honey in
Hmm.
my water bottle, always room temperature, and it always has like water or honey. If my throat's feeling dry, I'll take like a lozenge, a honey lozenge. Um, but yeah, I always try to take care of my voice. I think it's super important. Yeah.
And people don't realize again that again your instrument, right? It's your voice. There are many, many stars that don't talk to anybody for an hour before going on, right? Have the hot lemon honey water, which I've heard a great deal of, um, and just protecting their voice because that instrument is about to go full blast for the next hour and a half. Right. And if you
Absolutely.
don't look after it, you don't have an instrument and therefore you don't have a performance. So it is, but it's not just your voice having to take care of, it's your whole well-being. There is the stressful side of being a performer.
Yeah.
And you know, the anxiety or maybe turning up and people, you know, the setting isn't right, or you've got, you know, people talking when they should be listening and or you know, the gig management isn't what it should be. You know,
Yeah.
there is the angst side of things. How do you take care of that well-being yourself? You know, your heart and soul equilibrium when you're not performing, but you've stepped into the other side of it. What do you do to take care of that?
Ooh. I try to actually listening to music, honestly. It
Mm,
just like centers me back down, like rather than kind of, losing my cool or I just like remember like, okay, what are my I listen to music, I put my headphones in and I'm like, okay, what are my intentions? My intentions are good and like everything's gonna be good. Everyone has good intentions. Understanding people are not despite how the situation feels, we all have good intentions and we all want everything to go smoothly. So I
yes.
think understanding that, centering yourself, and then proceeding from there is super important. Just like taking that breath and
Yeah.
reassessing everything is super
Taking a
important.
breath is very, very important because there's going to be some things. You're even going to get some hecklers. You're going to get somebody. And
Yeah.
it's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on them, right?
True.
They're just trying to
Yeah.
dump their doo-doo on you and you don't
Yeah.
have to accept it. So, you know, it's you remember the song Killing Them with Kindness,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it does maybe a good time to get into that nice ballad song, bring
Yeah.
them down a notch, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that again, you know, that knowing. to stay in your heart and soul lane, so to speak. What is going to stress you out, what isn't. Don't go into that situation if you can, if it's there, of coming
Mhm.
back into yourself, taking a breath. But
Yeah.
you talked about that music bringing you equilibrium around, and scientists have absolutely proven that music, when you listen to it, recalibrates your body. It's the frequency.
Wow.
It brings you a certain music. Well, when you're depressed or this or that, everything is out of balance. And
Yeah.
music has a way of bringing you back into balance
Wow.
and just, equalizing everything so that you can get back into calm. And so this is
Yeah.
why music is so important, whether it's an upbeat one that you need to get out of something, or whether it is that ballad calm one that just brings you down, whether it's the words or whether it's the music.
Yeah.
You know your music, that you know which one is, this is going to bring me back. This is going to
Yeah.
bring me back. And then from there, you can walk forward. But it's good to have something that that bring you back to your center.
Yes. You gotta have those habits that
Yes.
center you for sure.
Yes. Now, look, we know that, they certainly in the past, and I don't know about the present, but I'm sure it still is. Musicianship is still very much it's very, very enticing, lots of attention, um, alcohol, drugs, and this and that. I mean, how many of them have got stories on that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been subject to that yet, but if you are, what is your way of resisting?
I think my way of resisting is like I realize that this is all I got. Like it's
Yes.
this or nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and I love what I do. Singing is my favorite thing to
Mhm.
do. I sing all the time. At home, whenever I'm in the car, I blast a song. You know what I mean? I'm always
Yes.
singing in my head. I sing in
Yes.
conversation sometimes too. My
Yes.
friends tell me like, Connor, you need to like stop. This is not the time. Um, but like I'm always humming something. So like
Yes.
this is all I got. And like I
Yeah.
don't wanna I would
Jeopardize it.
never want to jeopardize that because
Right.
this is my best. This is like brings me pure happiness, pure joy. So I would never want to ruin that.
I'm glad
Yeah.
to hear that because, obviously, 60s and 70s hard rock and roll came along with the drug and the booze. And,
Yeah.
it is still very much out there, especially if you're playing gig after gig after gig after gig, it can get wearing. And then,
Yeah.
they just have a drink and this and that, and it can happen. And being aware right now, this instrument, if I don't look after this instrument, I don't have a performance, I don't have a career.
Mhm.
And knowing and being able to actually say to someone, thank you, but no,
Yeah.
right? And that takes courage, when you're around other people. Come on, come on, come on. But it's may that courage always be with you, may the force be with you.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
it can be a tough world. I know I've interviewed people who are in the high business world, wheeler dealers, and they say, at the end of you've signed a contract, out comes the cocaine or the heroin,
Yeah.
and how easy it is to do because you're on an adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah.
And but how delusional it is when you step outside of it.
Yeah.
So it's always keeping the focus in check. So you've got a new album coming out in 24. What part do we know? What part of
Um, I think my aim is for I think maybe late 20 or even 2025. I don't really have it planned yet. But we're just gonna see what happens with the music, and when the time feels right, when the time is right, I
yes.
will release it.
When everybody and everything is in place, right? So right now it's getting the
Yeah,
music down, and once the music's down, then it will be how is it best put together and who is the best people to put it together, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, when the time is right, it'll feel right. It'll reveal itself.
Yeah, a lot of people rush out with something, and I used to be one of those, used to be the hare, rush out with something, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I've learned to be
Hmm.
the tortoise, plod along. You take in more, you gather more people and everything else along the way. And
Yeah.
forgive me, it's okay to as you say, get the content there because that is where the nugget is. And then it's which format that it goes in, um, whom should be behind it as far as management, who should be behind it, whether it's an independent label, all of those decisions. You can have the best music possible, but if you go with the wrong people or promote it in the wrong way, it could get lost completely. So it is
Exactly.
Yeah, get the music under your belt first and then the business hat.
Yes, I am such a huge fan of my new music. I like I love it so much that like I don't want to I really want to take my time with it and not rush it out.
Yeah.
And just like when it's right, it'll be right, you know? When the time is right, it'll be it'll be
You know,
ready to go.
like comedians will go and try a new skit in various clubs to see how the audience receives it and how to tweak it. Is that
Yeah.
going to be your thing? Go out with the music, see how the audience likes it.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm like really weird about that because like I'm like, oh, this is so like I believe in it so much that I almost like don't want to like I want to like surprise people with it, but at the same time, like I want to build excitement. That's always been my like moral thing. So I think I'll definitely tease it a little bit. I'll
Mm,
like get the hype around it. It'll just I have to figure out a way to get that hype around it while also making myself feel like I'm still gonna surprise them. I think that's
right,
the trick. That's the trick
right.
for sure.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You've got a very supportive family, which is really great because a lot of families aren't.
Yeah.
You want to be a what? No, no, you've got to go to university. You've got to have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
And it's, if we put the passion, especially when you're younger, because you're more flexible, right? You've got more
Yeah.
resilience, etc. It hasn't been beaten out of you yet, right? So this is the time to follow the dream. This is the time to
Exactly.
put everything behind it and see
Yeah.
where it goes, because you can fall back on something else down the road if necessary. Um,
Yeah.
but I interviewed another guy that was the musician and then had a family and went and did the job and then
Yeah.
came back to it 20 some years later and has said, "Oh, God, it was like a piece of me I picked up again that I didn't know I'd lost."
Um,
Right. So
yeah.
it's always keeping you with yourself and your music and
Exactly.
being adaptable, right? And you know the Al Geico song, "Whoops, I did it again," "Whoops, da 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 da," right? The
I think
Geico
so,
song,
yeah.
right? So I interviewed the guy that written and did that way back when, and it was a one-hit wonder, and they
Um,
never went on to do anything else. He said, but that one-hit wonder opened up doors for him in other areas that he had never looked at, and he's had a
yeah.
really exceptionally good life. But that song now being picked up by Geico and played again, you like the money coming from it was more now than it was back then.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to let your songs be on advertising, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes that's the bread and butter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything else can be the gravy. Yes. So one never knows. Always be flexible, always be open.
True.
And I think just like these podcasts, when they go out there, I have absolutely no idea who's going to listen to them, how they're going to listen, or what they're going to do with it. I'm
Yeah.
always saying, listen, learn, and apply. But how
Right.
and what they do with it is out of my hands. It's the same with your music. Put it out there with love, put it
Yeah.
out there with passion and conviction. How people listen to it and what they do with it is up to them. And
Yeah.
sometimes that can be a little frustrating because, is it hitting anybody? Is it making its mark? But it will always come back. You'll know. You will know. So
Yeah.
just make sure it's always your music that you're putting out for you, from you, your
Exactly.
love letter. Right? Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
So we've got to wait until either 24 or 25, which I hope is 24 for your music, definitely. We've got three songs that we're going to share on your show posting here. So tell us a little bit about those songs, the stories behind them.
Okay. I think I'll go in order from earliest release to most recent. So, with that being said, the first song, which is titled Black, I the special thing about that song was it's the first song I've ever released in which I wrote and produced it myself. Everything you hear, I was all me in my bedroom, just like on my little computer. Um, I wrote Black in the shower. Actually, I got ghosted, which kind of sucked. But I wrote it in the shower, and I was just thinking to myself like, dang, like, is it really that hard to text me back? And then I was like, ooh, I like how that rolled off the tongue. I was like, oh my God, I love that. Like that was sick. So then
Mm,
I wrote like, okay, I was like, is it really that hard to text me back? Like, what comes next? Wonder how I am and where I'm at. And then the song just kind of
yes.
showed itself from there. I was like, okay, like cool. Like, let me write this down. Went in my room and I produced the beat for it. And then I took it to my wonderful, amazing, talented collaborator, Nathan Chu, who mixed and mastered that track. So Black was my first like track where it was just 100% me. Um, and I love that song so much.
Mhm.
Second song is titled 21, which I actually wrote the chorus back in 2020. Um, and we actually started, I worked on this one again with my amazingly talented collaborator, Nathan Chu. We actually started making this song actually before Black was released. We were
Mhm.
working on this one together. It was one of our first sessions, and we didn't know what to write with each other. We had no idea what we were going to do. I just kind of went in with a blank slate, which I never do. I always like to be prepared, but I was like, you know what? Let's just go in, open arms, see what happens. And no joke, he was like playing the guitar, and he played this riff, and it went, "Ah, na, 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 na." That's what he played. And my jaw hit the floor because 21, the chorus, it goes, I don't want to grow up. That's what I had written 2 years prior. I
Right.
didn't even show him the song. He played the exact same. So that was my signal to kind of be
Mm.
like, we're going to work on this song. We're going to finish this song.
Yeah.
Um, and that's essentially the story of 21. It's about just like growing up
Mhm.
and
Resistance.
just like reflecting. Yes,
Yes.
just like the resistance to it and just like reflecting on your like mistakes
Mhm.
and just like wanting to stay, kind of that child in that childlike state forever.
Mhm. Peter
It's a little
Banish.
bit. Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah. It's a very self-reflective song for sure. And then Out of a Dream. Oh my goodness, Out of a Dream. Um, Last year I went through a breakup, which was so much fun. It was so much fun to experience that. And
Not many
I
people
didn't.
say that.
Oh, I'm being sarcastic. It was not fun at all. It was the worst experience.
but
um,
but a musician's dream.
exactly. I and like I try to write every day, and I didn't write for like a month afterwards. Like I was
Mhm.
just so sad in my head about everything. And then one night I just sat down. I was like, I'm gonna write. I need to write. I just want to get something out, like a line or just anything. And I wrote down maybe I lost you, but I didn't lose me.
Ah,
And
I
I
love that.
and I was like, oh my God, I love that. And so the song just kind of revealed itself to me from there. I just wrote it in my room on my low guitar, and then I took it in once again to my incredible collaborator Nathan Chu, and I played it for him. Um, he thought it had so much potential, and
Mm.
he produced the track. He also produced 21, and yeah, he really brought it to life, and he really amplified it. And with Out of a Dream, I really got to experiment with like different sonics, like different synths and stuff that
Mhm.
I've always wanted to do, but I never really knew how to articulate it into that
Mhm.
song. And yeah, and I edited the cover art myself, which was super fun because I actually didn't know what the visuals would be for that song. So to like literally create it and be like, oh my goodness, like this is what people are gonna see was really cool. And to edit the Spotify canvas for it as well was
Mhm.
very creatively liberating.
Yeah.
Um, and I got to like really dive into different facets of myself on that song too. Like in the cover art, I'm wearing like these cool sparkly gloves and like a shirt I would have never envisioned myself wearing before. Like 21, I think I'm in a flannel. I think I'm in a flannel shirt.
True
Black, I'm wearing a
Canadian.
jean. Yeah, true Canadian, true North Strong
Where's
and
the Tim
free.
Hortons?
I need a nice cap. And then black, I'm wearing like the jean jacket, but like Out of a Dream, like I was wearing clothes I just was like, you know what, this feels right. Like let's just wear it. Let's just go throw everything at the wall. And it was really fun to experiment with myself, like creatively, like see how far I could push myself. Um, and then yeah, that's kind of the story behind the three songs. I hope you guys
Great.
like it.
Oh yeah, I've loved all of them, absolutely. But I chose 21
Thank
as
you.
the exact one because I think it's really kind of, that Peter Panish where it doesn't matter where we are. It's like, I wish I had the wisdom of today in a 21-year-old
Yeah,
body, which would be nice.
I feel that.
So it's
Yeah.
always that, that do I have to grow older? It doesn't matter if you're
Yeah.
21, 81, doesn't matter. Do we have to grow older? But so I love them all, but that one kind of really, I love the beat of it as well. But, talking about doing it in the shower, water is actually a conduit.
Ooh,
It is
okay.
it's a place where you download, right? So
Mm,
water is a wonderful thing of opening up, the chakras and the universe and allowing it to come in. And all true artisans download. You open up. You've got certain words or things like this, and when you open up, whew, the floodgates come down, the
yeah.
clarity, right? When it resonates with your heart, it's in truth, it lifts your spirit into action, and your mind knows what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And
Yeah.
that's when you get the truth, right? The truth, which is really beautiful. So
Yeah.
yeah, if whatever comes to you in the shower or in the rain, right?
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
good download. But
Yeah.
um, you never know how where a song is going to come from. You never know what's going to spark something.
Yeah.
The irritating thing is I'll wake up in the night and there is a phrase or there is something, and I have to thumb for the phone and look for the recorder to say it while I'm half asleep because I know come morning I'll forget it. So
Yeah.
when is the time that it hits you the most, those creative phrases, those creative epiphanies?
Probably when I'm alone at
Mm,
night.
yeah.
I find that they hit the most.
Mm,
Definitely at night, which is actually why I call my music midnight pop, is because I write it
mm.
all at night. I find. I don't know. I find I'm just like more in the day. I like to think in the day. I think with my heart or my head, and at
Yes.
night I think more with my heart.
Yes.
So that's why I like to write at night. Um, yeah.
Yeah, there's something about nighttime too, where there's a stillness. There's
Yeah.
a pause and allowance. Oh, the stupid hand thing. I raise my hand like an Italian, and then it makes everything go like this. I can't lift my hands. But yeah, nighttime is something where and this is also, I think, really good for people to remember sometimes. Um, your song may come to in piecemeal. You've got a
Yeah.
phrase here and a phrase there, and the connectedness of it isn't seen
Yeah.
until there is a pause, there is that silence, there is that something or that beat that suddenly
Yeah.
is, that's the connector. And that's how it connects everything together.
Yeah.
So for you, it is the words that bring about the beat.
Yeah, I find most of the time words bring about the beat, but if I do hear a beat, I find I write the fastest if I hear a beat because I
Uh-huh.
can tell the mood, I can tell kind of the flow and what words kind of fit in that flow. There's a beat, I'll write it quite fast, but if it's the words first, then the beat I kind of have to find, which is
Right.
cool too.
Yes.
But yeah,
Yes. I love rhythmical people because, as I said, you're in flow,
yeah,
right? You're already in the flow of life, and that elongation of being able to embrace, which is wonderful. And it's wonderful to see. I've interviewed a few young people on the cusp of their career, and then people that have been around for a long time. And
yeah,
you want to be in 40 years where they are, still
hmm,
performing, still working at it, right? It's the same with an actor. They can have a peak where they're in every movie 6 times a year and then they peter off and they're no longer popular, but they're still working,
yeah,
right? It may not be the leading role anymore, but they're still working. And that's I mean, for goodness sake, look at the Rolling Stones. Right?
yeah,
They're in their 80s and they're still going, right? And Tony Bennett, he was up in
yeah,
his 90s. So, when the passion and the conviction and the soul and the heart and the spirit are all in sync, the performance will keep coming, right?
exactly.
So that's great today. So we're going to end up with 2021. But before we do that, how do people find you, find your music if they want to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to book you? Where do they find you, love?
So every social media handle is at it's Connor Nelson, literally ITS Connor Nelson.
And that's
Um,
Connor, folks.
yes, double N double O Nelson. And then my email is the same. It's Connor Nelson, ITS CONNOR NELSON at gmail.com. You can find my music on any streaming platform that you use to listen to music. Just type in my name, Connor Nelson. That you can also find me on YouTube. Type my name, Connor Nelson. And yeah, let's get
So
connected.
Facebook,
Let's jam.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
Yes.
Twitter, and of course it's connornelson.com, and it's
Yes.
connornelson@gmail.com. And
Yes.
it's I know Deb heard you somewhere and then just kind of like, got to get behind this young man. He's absolutely awesome. And of course,
Yeah.
she has a 19-year-old Ocean who's just launched his clothing, to which you are wearing today,
Shout out
right?
Ocean. Hey
Shout out
Ocean.
Ocean. And it's great to see young people because, again, back in my day, God, I sound like an old fart here, but back in my day, you had to go through all these steps, and like it was acceptable in your 30s to 40s to reach a certain success,
Yeah.
um, but now we've got young people where there's so much more that can help you be entrepreneurial and
Yeah.
that can propel you forward so much faster than was set about in the days. And that's the beauty of technology. But also, I think a lot of our young people, and I think a great deal of it is a lot to do with parents, whether they ignite the heart and soul in our children and allow the spirit to fly and don't dictate that they've
Yeah.
got to go and do something they don't want to do. Um, but it's the permission to just go and be at any age now. There isn't that
Yeah.
age barrier, which is wonderful. And again, when you on The Voice, they had like a 13-year-old on there with an like gobsmacked voice, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if the talent is there, forget about the age, right? It's how do you
Exactly.
nurture that talent that they can do it for the rest of their lives, not get burnt
Yeah.
out, right? Not get used
Yeah.
up, but that we can hear that voice forever. So I'm glad that you stepped into this, and it's wonderful
Thank
to
you.
see. I'm looking forward to seeing all your albums come about. You're going to have to come
Thank
back and
you.
share the album when it comes
I'm
out
down.
and all the
Let's do
songs and
it.
all about it. Um,
Yeah.
but it's music is ageless. Yes, we have certain songs we love. Like you love Motown. That's my period, right? But
Love.
it's the Beatles and Rolling Stones, all of those, they set the ground, the foundation. The music at that time period, late 60s and 70s, was absolutely phenomenal. And it's the inspiration again that gets the invitation to you to be
Yeah.
inspired to do your own. So the music is ageless. It doesn't matter what age we are, we can enjoy it. And I really enjoyed your songs. They
Thank
kind of
you.
triggered different things in me. But as I said, the 21 was just like, yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So we're going to close out with 21 today. But folks, please do reach out, support, remember. Um, his Spotify and everything is up on his site. It's connornelson.com. Remember, it's ConnorNelson.com. And it's Connor Nelson on all of these social medias. And, reach out to him. Please support. That's what this is all about. Share the music, share the love, and listen to the lyrics. I don't care what age you are. I know they're going to relate in some form or other. They're going to relate, and that's what music's all about. Does it
Exactly.
relatable? Does it let me get up and boogie? You know, and is it fun? Right? Well, is it fun? Does it tell a story that lifts up our heart, which it definitely should do? So thanks so much for being with us here today, Connor.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Oh,
really
it's been
appreciated
an absolute
talking to you
pleasure.
today.
And when the album comes out, you're coming back and we're going to discuss all the songs again then. All
Let's
right?
do it.
Keep on rock and rolling, darling. Keep on
You
rock and
too.
rolling. Until next time, folks, please listen to the song Let Your Spirit Fly and let's just get up and dance. Bye for now.
I don't know where I went wrong, playing back memories every night, and I don't know how to move on. Knots in my stomach tied too tight. Years pass and my hands get colder. Hair turns gray and my heart beats slower. Now the weight of the world on my shoulders. 21 and I'll say it till it's over. I don't wanna grow up, I just wanna get drunk with my hearing your heartbeat every night. And I would sleep in your t-shirt. Do you still sleep in mine? Years pass and my hands get colder. Hair turns gray and my heart beats slower. Now the weight of the world on my shoulders. 21 and I'll say it till it's over. I don't wanna grow up, I just wanna get drunk with my friends and laugh a little too much. As soon as it happens, the faster it ends. Wasted my time trying to press fast forward, spending my life wanting to be older. But now I'm on the run, and I don't wanna grow up. So I'll never grow up and I'll stay the same. Say I'm 21 till my dying day. I'll pretend that my friends won't drift away, 'cause it's better than being alone. I don't wanna grow up, I just wanna get drunk with my friends and laugh a little too much. As soon as it happens, the faster it ends. Wasting my time trying to press fast forward, spending my life wanting to be older. But now I'm on the run, and I don't wanna grow up. 21 and my hands get colder. 21 and my heart beats slower. 21, got the world on my shoulders. 21 and I'll say it till it's over.
We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.